So the one thing that I've always really liked is to give back. And so I was like, there's lots of things that people ask how to do it, and there's very few people that will explain stuff. And so I was like, oh, I'll just on my TikTok and my YouTube channel, I'll just break down like these things that people are doing and show them how easy it really is if you know where to look. Nobody cares about your business more than you do. If you're the business owner, my biggest pain point was if I don't answer the phone, then I don't get business. So now my AI assistant, which I cloned through my daughter's voice using 11 Labs, so she is the one that like answers the phone on that stuff. And it's grown. It's AI is not going to take your job away. It's people that know how to use AI that's going to take your job away. It's not about what the answer is, it's understanding how to get the answer.
Yep. Joe, thanks for coming on the show today, man. It's a pleasure to
Yeah.
speak to you. I've been following you on TikTok, came across your page the other day, and you're posting some good stuff, man, especially in the AI space. So, out of curiosity, how did you even get into the space? Like, what's your background?
So my background is actually, well, long story short, I was in marketing, web design, that kind of stuff back in like 2000 and got into marketing for real estate agents. Then realized, hey, I could be a real estate agent. So I became a real estate agent, did marketing for myself. And then I was like, oh, this is great, but like you gotta create a ton of content. There's a lot more to it than I think people realize. They see the commission check and it's like, oh man, you guys make so much money. And then there's all these little things that add up. And a lot of it is time consuming. And so about I would say like almost about a year, a little over a year and a half ago, maybe a little longer than that, I stumbled upon ChatGPT when they released. And one of my very first TikToks was actually that, how it could write a contract using ChatGPT, like a real estate contract.
Mhm.
And I was like, this is a game changer. Like for whatever reason, I felt like that today, like those that missed out on like the big wave of web design, because I'd been in that space and I'm like, man,
Mhm.
there's so many people that like they're like, had I only known this, and I saw AI and I saw what ChatGPT was doing, and I was like, this is bigger than that. This is so much bigger. How do I how do we get on this? And I was doing real estate. So I own a property management company, I own a real estate brokerage. I'm busy doing a lot of things. And so I just started using it to write listing descriptions and to write, like emails back and forth, just little things to save time because I was just like, okay, it doesn't add up a lot, but I was probably saving 5 to 10 hours a week. And then I was like, what else does this do? And so then, so it kind of started off just really small, just like, but I was so like, it was so powerful, like even to the point of like helping my kids teach them math, right? Because explaining math problems and things like that that I didn't, normally we go to YouTube and try to understand whoever's teaching it, and hopefully they taught it in a way that I could understand and articulate it to my kids. And anyway, so like it just became something that I just used every day. And then I got better and better. I understood prompting a lot better, like actually how to structure, give it context, give it the information that it needed, because I realized that it was really, really, really smart and also really, really, really dumb because you had to give it like the context of what you were asking. And a lot of people just ask a question without giving it any kind of context. And so I got into it doing that, and then I was like, it'd be really fun to help with my marketing because I'm really big into these businesses, and I have a video editing background as well from back in the day. And so I was like, okay, I'll have it help me write my scripts. I'll have it help me write better hooks and give me better content. And then I just, with that one thing, it led to other AI subscriptions. Like, don't even ask me how many I have now because, like, you'll just laugh because I now am an ultra member of Gemini. So, like, it's one of those things where it just was a little bit at first, and it solved the problem I had. And the problem I had was time, right? I didn't have a lot of time to write the listing description, go show the showing. Then, it got into like taking just a lot of that pressure and then waiting for people. Like a lot of times I'd hire someone and it's when they got to it. And I just was like, oh my gosh. And so I really have spent a lot of time with prompting with a lot of different AI tools. Some are really good, some aren't so great. And I just kind of went through the ones that actually help my business. And then from there, I was like, this is amazing. So the one thing that I've always really liked is to give back. And so I was like, there's lots of things that people ask how to do it, and there's very few people that will explain stuff. And so I was like, oh, I'll just on my TikTok and my YouTube channel, I'll just break down like these things that people are doing and show them how easy it really is if you know where to look.
Mm-hmm. No,
So that's kind of how I got started, man.
100%. No, I love that background, and it should be inspiring and encouraging to a lot of other people. Because if I recall correctly, you started out in marketing, and I know you had mentioned that you were kind of in the early space for web development. But outside of that, did you really have a lot of technical skills like coding or messing with AI before?
No,
AI
no,
isn't
none.
necessary. No, okay, cool.
Yeah, no, not like I mean I know like HTML a little bit from web
Yep.
design, but like as far as like Python or JavaScript or that kind of stuff, no, I don't have a deep knowledge of that at all.
Right. And you wouldn't say that it was complicated to really learn once you started to do the prompting, maybe mess around with some automations and other AI tools.
No, it,
It's not
it
that difficult, right?
No, and the thing is this is what I try to tell people. A lot of them are like, "Well, how do I get a better prompt?" The best person to ask is the AI, whatever one you're using, right? Like if it's like, tell me what you need to give me a better answer, and if you follow that, then it works. So I literally just turned Chat GPT because that was the first one that I got on, and I'm on a bunch of them, but like that one's kind of my default right now.
Same.
And I just got in the habit of asking it questions like it's my personal assistant that just happens to know everything
Mhm.
about like all programming languages, a lot of languages, how to structure proposals, how to, like all of the things that like I struggled with as a business owner with. I would sit down to write like a listing description and I would waste 15 minutes going like, oh, I don't even know like this room boasts, whatever. And then I got to the point where now I just give it very specific details and I don't even actually give it to them. I just upload the PDF of the listing and it'll write the listing for me because I've trained it and I have a custom GPT that does that now.
100%. And there's so many things inside of ChatGPT that I think most people are unaware even exist, or even
Right.
really how to harness the power of ChatGPT, because you can even connect it to some of your automations if you're really skilled and you know how to
Yep.
use the, connect APIs. But before we get deep in the weeds there, where I think there's a huge gap in how people like getting into the space begin to prompt, and then where they go once they get to a point like yourself. So what would you say, like when you were beginning your journey messing around with ChatGPT, how has your prompting developed, and what would be some things that you would suggest somebody who's just now getting into it, downloaded the app, messing around with it a little bit, and they're still maybe using it like a Google search, right? So
Yeah.
how would how was your transition as you improved your prompting, and what would be some tips you would give people that are just now starting to use
So
ChatGPT?
probably the first thing I would tell people is, you have to spend time using it. Like that's probably the biggest thing that most people, if they're only asking it like a question a week, they're not using it. Like that's the probably the biggest thing. And I think a lot of people get inundated because of how much AI there is out there and how rapidly it's going. And it's almost like, I've talked to people and they compare it to like it's a bullet train and people are trying to get on and
Mm-hmm.
they can't feel like I don't even know where to start because there's just so much of it out there. And so I would say pick one. I personally like ChatGPT. I am diving into Gemini
Hmm.
and we can get into that later. I've had an account with it, but like ChatGPT for me has always been pretty easy to navigate, and their interfaces are all very similar anyways. So once you understand one, you could really like use multiple, and they have different, uses, but the key person that if they're really struggling like on training, on growing their business, on having someone, they're always asking someone something. And this is exactly, you have a great question. Like I had an agent yesterday come into my office and she's got this big listing presentation and she's like, I'm going up against another agent and I really don't know like what how to make myself stand out different than someone else. And I literally had a 5-minute conversation with ChatGPT because I have custom instructions in there for my real estate stuff. And so from that, it gave her 7 or 8 different different thought processes that had never even crossed her mind as to make her stand out. And then she's like, well, I don't know how to do that. I'm like, that you ask ChatGPT, like ask it to explain it. Well, I don't know how to write this. I have it write it for you. And so you could see, like, I saw her, like someone that's like, she has it, she's had
Hmm.
ChatGPT, doesn't use it. And it was like, she left going, I I didn't even know that you could do half of the things that you just did with me in this conversation, And so a lot of it is just you have to get past I think the pain point has to be great enough for you to go, you know what, like I I've got to figure this out, or if I'm tired of hiring someone and then them dropping the ball or paying somebody and then it's just subpar or not great content. And nobody cares about, I don't care what people say, but nobody cares about your business more than you do if you're the business owner. So someone can tell you that they care, they don't, because all they care about is the paycheck.
Hmm.
So if you can figure out how to have your assistant, Chat GPT or whatever you're going to use, understand your business, the ins and outs and the goals that you have for it, and you give it expectations, and the more you use it, it will guide you in generating those responses and that result that you want, and help you course correct too. If it's like, you know what, like you said your goal was this and you're going off in this direction, let's get you back to where your goals are, unless you've updated your goals or whatever. And so I think the hardest thing is it just seems overwhelming for
Hmm.
people. I think most people are just like they're overwhelmed because it's in their face. They see all these things and there's no way that I can do this because it's too late. I've missed it. And we
Right.
haven't even begun to hit like where this is going to go. And so that's probably the number one thing, is to tell them, you know what, start using it every day. And if there's a task that you hate to do and it's repetitive, have ChatGPT help you with that, and it'll streamline that repetitive process. And then when you get into like the more advanced things, that happens naturally as you understand how to use it more.
Hmm.
And so, and like I told you in the beginning, it's kind of like people feeling like the train is going by fast. But when you're on the train, it doesn't seem like it's going that fast because you're right there with it. You're learning, you're using stuff, and then you're using practical application. There's a lot of people out there that I think are overselling what AI can do
Hmm.
in some aspects and over promising, and then the results are subpar. And a lot of it is because the person that's selling it is regurgitating something that they heard from someone else and they actually really don't know how to use it. They're just trying to get an affiliate link, or they're just trying to do something where, they're following that trend instead of providing real value. And that's, I think, the biggest difference, that the people that are in businesses that have a real pain point, I have systems that actually I use every single day in my brokerage and in my property management company and in my coaching businesses that I use AI for, but they were built out of a pain point or a necessity
Mhm.
rather than someone just saying, "Oh, you don't ever have to do this again because AI will do it."
Right. Yeah, and even the people that are saying you'll never have to do it again, they're it's totally incorrect because there's going to be managing and supervising the automation that you create or whatever AI agent you have because
Yep,
it's not perfect. There's so
100%.
many things that are needing to be developed to make them even better, and that goes into the overwhelming aspect that you just touched on, that people are overwhelmed, and even myself, and maybe you can agree to this too, it does get overwhelming once you're in the space because new tools are dropping every day. So
Yep.
you realize that like we're kind of in this huge hype cycle. Maybe it's not huge yet. We probably are just at the tip of the iceberg, but this is going to be something that I don't even think like the .com bubble or crypto will even compare to.
Yeah,
And
it's so much larger.
I completely agree. And
Yeah.
now I do want to touch on Gemini eventually as well because Google came out with some great stuff yesterday with
Yep.
their keynote. That was amazing. But before we touch on to that, I remember you saying earlier on that you actually created some custom GPTs.
Hmm.
Now, I agree with you that people should be playing with it, trying to learn different skills on prompting, see what they can automate. When it comes to custom GPTs, if you don't mind sharing, like how do you use them inside of your business? What are the purpose of it?
Okay, here's a perfect example. So like going back to pain points. So I in property management, if you've never done it, it's a hard business. Meaning you're dealing with tenants, you're dealing with owners. Tenants are not happy a lot of times, for one reason or another. Mainly it's because of communication. People aren't communicating or they're not getting their questions answered or things like that. So I have a system where we built an AI uh, like answering service. So this answering service literally answers every one of my phone calls and it screens it. Now, to your point, it you still have to monitor that. It's not like this one thing where it's like, oh, I built it and I never have to think about it. But I will tell you that it answers my calls 24/7. It does it in English and Spanish because I have both. And it will go to an automation through, like I use Go High Level. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but like it will go in and create an appointment and then it reminds them through an automation. So I
Mhm.
have an integration through an API to that. So I built that first. That's probably the number one thing I built because my biggest pain point was if I don't answer the phone, then I don't get business. But my problem is I don't want I don't want to be answering the phone all the time, and I don't want to have to keep training a girl and then or a secretary, and then they quit, and then I have to do it over and over and over. And so that was my number one goal, and I've been using that for about a year,
Mhm.
and it is made my business. I've scaled my business 10 times since that
Wow.
because of that. So that system right there was the number one immediate need I needed, which was to answer phone calls. And because a lot of property management is the same thing over and over. Like, how much is rent? What's the security deposit? What are
Mhm.
your policies? Blah, blah, blah. So it's not until they become a client or a tenant, it's not a lot of like very crazy things, but it is very call heavy because they'll see a Zillow ad or a listing and then they want more information. So now my AI assistant, which I cloned through my daughter's voice using 11 Labs, so she is the one that like answers the phone on that stuff. And it's grown. So I actually inadvertently created a whole business by solving that problem for me. Other of my business buddies were like, "Hey, could you build that for me? Could you?" And so we ended up now I have an AI agency because of that. So that was a byproduct of a need that I had. But the custom GPT, here's the thing, and this goes back to like what you had mentioned earlier, is that it's not perfect. It's not perfect yet. It's getting better. It's way better than it was a year ago, and it'll be
100%.
way better in a year from now. However, there still has to be some human element or interaction. And so, like for example, the way that I've trained, so we have custom GPTs for a lot of different things. But the first thing I did as a business owner is when I have a new hire, they go through a training to learn ChatGPT.
Nice.
And if they haven't learned it or if they haven't seen it or they haven't I don't care. That doesn't matter because they can learn it, they can see it. So so I have custom GPTs that I've made, and most of them are on like uh, we do HOA management too. So we have a lot of like people calling and complaining, or they'll send messages and they want to know why they can't do it. And so we actually have trained, we have a custom GPT for each of our HOAs, and they're trained on the CCNRs, the bylaws. Basically, we uploaded everything to that AI assistant and told it, look, you are a property management expert. You understand everything about this property. You understand the CCNRs 100%. And you'll basically, when asked a question, you'll refer to these documents and then you'll give us an answer, and not only the answer, but where it is in the document.
Mm-hmm.
And then a confidence score of like how confident you are that that's really accurate. Because ChatGPT will, it even says down at the bottom, like it's not guaranteed to give you the right answer. Like you
Right.
need to like challenge it, right? And have safeguards in place. So that's the first thing that we did is all the questions that we would get with new HOAs is they would ask like, well, why can't I do this? And we would just take that question, paste it into ChatGPT, into that custom GPT, and it would spit back the response, and then we'd text them the answer and through their portal because what they have like a portal. And we trained our secretaries to that's the first thing they do. So now all of a sudden the information is correct and it's right and it's the same every time. So
Mm-hmm.
now we're not dealing with this person understood it one way and this person's understood it another way, and they're conflicting, causing a problem because it's always like, well, this person said this, and it's like, well, that's not right. And so now we eliminate a lot of like errors and mistakes because AI is scanning the documents, it looks at it, and it provides the answer. And then the other thing is we've created a GPT for marketing. So the secretary that doesn't understand marketing or didn't know much about marketing is now our marketing, because we're repurposing her because she's not answering the phones anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So we're like, look, your job is to still be support. If we get emails or this or that, you're going to do it. But really what we want you to do is to create content to get more awareness for our business.
Mm-hmm.
And they love it because it's like they use AI tools that so they're just like learning, but it's literally growing my business because we're now repurposing that person that maybe didn't really know social media, but now because of a custom GPT is actually really good at it. And we save on hiring an agency to do all of that stuff for us. Now it's all done in-house. And
Mm-hmm.
that's all because of understanding how to use it, but you have to like get into it. But that's probably the number one thing that we do. We also have like some disputes and things like that. We've had to evict people. We've had to have things like that. And so we have that AI draft up those letters, and they're compliant with state laws. They're compliant with tenant rights, with
Mm-hmm.
owner rights. So it just eliminates a lot of issues that we normally would have before we did those things. So I mean, the company, and it doesn't matter. Like my company is property management, it's real estate. It really, you could put any company
Mm-hmm.
in there, and if they leverage those tools and found like, okay, I'm doing this over and over, there's a better way to do it.
Yep. No, I 100% agree. And I love what you're doing in regards to repurposing certain employees as opposed to just replacing them. Because I've run businesses before, I've employed lots of people, and it is a pain trying to find somebody new,
Yep.
especially that's even decent at the job. Just doing a decent job and is
Right.
consistent, that's hard to do. There's a lot of money spent on just finding good people. So
Right.
if you can retain your good people and upskill them, they're probably going to value working at your company even more because you're investing in them. You're teaching them something that they could even use in their personal life. If they leave your company at some point, want to start their own thing, you are giving them the tools to be empowered essentially in this new day and age. And I really liked where you were, because it's so true. You just figured out where are my pain points, and then let me reverse engineer from there. So I'm learning this AI process. What can I do to solve these pain points with automation? not only can business owners do that, but maybe you can speak to this a little bit, but I think business owners would love if their employees even started to realize, okay, what are some of my tasks that are menial? I don't necessarily need to do, they're a little redundant. Now that my company is investing in me to learn these tools, what if I take it a step up and come up with my own automations, come up with my own solutions that then makes you more valuable to the company and just enhances your reputation overall. And I think it gives you a great sense of confidence. So what would you think about like employees taking the initiative based on the support they're getting from their employers?
Absolutely. I think that that makes them way more valuable. I have employees that never had even heard of ChatGPT, or maybe they've heard of it, but like they've never had it. And
Mm-hmm.
I have a Teams account. And so I'm like, look, you guys, one of the things you're going to do is you're going to get on here. And it's amazing when they'll come into the office and be like, I just did this. I made this and this is what we did. And I didn't ask them to do that, but they looked at it and said, this is gonna take more time. I'm gonna leverage AI and it's going to help me. And even if they had to prompt it back and forth a few times because maybe they're not perfect at it yet,
Mm-hmm.
but they did it, it still was faster than if they had to do the task themselves the first time. Like a lot of them are like, I don't really know what to say and responding on this email. And so, when they figured out, oh, I could put the email in there and then I could with this custom GPT that for this very specific thing, and they know how to do that because we
Mm-hmm.
showed them. And then it responds with like a very, very professional but caring response. It takes a lot of the um, people taking things personal, like when they get attacked. It takes
Mm-hmm.
that stuff out of it, and then they're able to like find joy that they were able to respond, and not only respond, but have a response that doesn't get us into more trouble.
Right.
And here's a funny example of this. So we got a notice because we put an ad out on Indeed. We needed another secretary because we're growing, and they I got an email from this guy that had my very same company name out of like Missouri or something, and he sent me a basically a cease and desist, and you can't use my name, and I have a trademark on it. And so what did I do? I put it into ChatGPT. I said, find the trademark and tell me what it is. And so turns out they didn't it didn't get approved. It was never approved. It showed me the website of where all of that stuff was. And then it actually found basically that I have the rights, and there's a federal law that basically is like if your territory is has been created before the trademark is done, then there's this law I didn't even know about that basically you don't have to change because it's like a territorial thing. I had no idea any of that existed. So I had it. It found all of that stuff for me, and then it wrote a really nice response to the person saying, unfortunately, no, you don't have the rights, and technically we have the rights, and we're not going to do anything, but we just want to let you know we're going to continue business as usual, and we're considering this matter closed. I have not heard a word since because
Wow.
it responded with the actual links where they could look up and see that they were denied, and then when they did get it, it was after I had already started my business. So I had had it for 3 years by the time that they got it. Now, had I not done that, I probably would have been like, oh, I got to change my name. Like I don't know what I'm going to do, but because I understood how to use AI and leverage and the search feature inside of
Mm-hmm.
ChatGPT, I would have never known where to find the trademark stuff for the federal government. Like, it would have taken me forever to find it, and it
Right.
did it in like 30 seconds. But my employees, they see that and they are also doing that. So they come to me and they're like, hey, I just did this, and we just made this graphic, or we made this flyer, and we put out these stories. I don't like, I'm not asking them to do that. Like they're doing that because it's like they're finding joy in providing and adding value to the company. And the thing is to me, I'm like that was awesome. Thank you. Because we have a very like positive and like open, like really like our vibe and our atmosphere is one of like, hey, you can progress any way you want in this company. Just tell us your goals that you want to do, and we'll help you. And so we don't have a lot of turnover since we've switched to this. It's more now
Awesome.
we're growing and we're leveraging AI and we're growing, but we're growing smarter rather than having to fire a lot of people because people aren't getting through, things. We're finding the right people that fit what we're looking for, and then they're also excited to use the AI tools that we have.
100%. And I love that story you told about the trademark and how ChatGPT helped you out with that. I have obviously not legal advice, but I have started, not, I haven't done it recently, but I've written contracts using ChatGPT
Yeah,
just to see what it did. I was like, let's see how it works for this particular contract that I'm working on. And I think it worked out well. Similar to you, send it out. We're like, we'll roll with it. I mean, it's not a lawyer approved or anything, but
yeah,
we'll see. And we haven't had any issues doing that. Not recommending it, but just
right,
saying that you can certainly use it for so many things, especially the deep research part. I think
yeah,
that is so important, and a lot of people don't use that. Don't even know how
yeah,
to use that. You can get academic level research in a matter of minutes. Now, deep research takes a little more time. Sometimes it can take 10, 15 minutes, but it is pulling like actual, you know, studies and reports and things that actually substantiate whatever it is that you're trying to investigate and give you a clear description as to here's everything. And like it does give you a lot of information. It's like pages of information it
right.
dumps on you.
Yep.
But that's a very, I think, underutilized tool for a lot of people. Now, I am curious on your take on ChatGPT and what's going on with Gemini, because I just watched that keynote yesterday. Everything Google's releasing seems to be head, like just so far ahead of everybody else. If they can pull it off, right? We'll
Right.
see how it works. But if they're able to pull this all off, it's almost like, how can anybody else compete? So, what
Yeah.
are kind of your thoughts on that?
I mean, I watched the same thing and I went over and actually signed up for the Gemini Ultra
Mm-hmm.
because I'm always looking for ways to do it. I will tell you that my take is I was blown away. Like I was blown away at what they said, but I've also been in launches where they release product and then those products don't work like they're showing in the demo.
Yeah.
And or it's going to be released at a later date. So what I would say is like anything, it's going to take some time to perfect. I think that there's one of the things, and they just skimmed over it, but one of the things that I'm very, very excited about is their research, the research one where it will actually go in and act as an agent
Mm-hmm.
and it can browse. It's like Operator for ChatGPT, where it, can actually go in and you teach it a task and then it goes in and uses it. I'm very interested to see how that works. That one, and then also the agent that can respond to your emails. I'm very
Mm-hmm.
curious to see how that works because the way that we're doing it right now is we're using some AI software that's N8N, and basically we have to create an automation and a workflow, and then it goes through an API, and it's a lot to do a simple task as responding to an email.
Mm-hmm.
Once it's set up, it's great, but it's like if I can just walk through this and it knows what I'm doing and it has the ability to multitask like it says that it does, I'm very, very, I will just say this. I think that if they do this right and if they can really do what they say, then I'm a little worried for ChatGPT. I'm open, like OpenAI has to really do something incredible because I mean, when their image generator came out, the new one, I was like, oh, it's over. Like they've figured out how to get text to look perfect. They've figured out all of these things. Midjourney's always been great for
Mm-hmm.
like image creation and art and depth, like all of that stuff, but it's terrible at at least right now, and even version 7, it's still not great when it comes to text. So I
Mm-hmm.
was like, oh, this is going to be wild. And then like we were talking about in the beginning, it's really hard to keep up because there's so many things getting released. But I saw that and I was like, if they can really do all the things that they're talking about, where Google already owns YouTube, they
Yep.
already own, everyone has like a lot of people have Gmail accounts. Like it's it's going to really disrupt what ChatGPT is doing. And
100%.
the other thing that I'm not a super fan of, like we'll see what happens between Google as well, is there's a lot of censorship. So, like, I would love to see it where you could upload your own image and it look like you. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And I get that they have challenges because of deep fake and all of these other things that they've got to do to protect. But I would imagine that they could do something where you could upload like a government ID or something and really walk through some steps to prove that your account is verified and you are who you say you are.
Mhm.
That would make it to where I think your like marketing then would be next level. If if you're like a real estate business, like your face is a lot, right? Like you're on a lot of stuff. So that I'm very curious to see what happens, but the releases that they gave and VO3 and their Flow designer, like the new video
Yep.
editor, that I'm actually making a video of that right now, and it is wild. Like how cool it is, and just with very simple prompts, it's making like very, very realistic scenes.
And it's going to, that particularly, I think, is going to reshape how marketing is done entirely. Because
100%. You don't need an
you can,
agency anymore.
exactly.
You literally could train one of your people that is in-house. Here's how we're going to do it. And it might be done in, like in tandem. Like they may, like for me, I still like how ChatGPT puts out things. So like I did a ChatGPT prompt and then I put it in, the flow to generate the image. And
Hmm.
it did a great job. The image looked fantastic. So I'm just like, I do think that, the marketing that you would have spent to hire an agency just to have them put out a little bit of information, you can keep that all. And then I mean, people are like, well, it's like $250 a month. That's like crazy expensive. It's like, well, for a business, if you're hiring an ad agency, that's nothing.
Thousands. Yeah, you're
Yeah,
spending thousands a
that's
month, plus your
nothing.
ad
And
spend.
that exactly like so I agree with you that it will change the way things are done. And I think a lot of people are going to miss this.
Mhm.
And they're either, if they don't realize, hey, this is something that if I don't get behind this, they literally will not be able to keep up. And they won't be able to keep up because you can't, everything is consumption based right now. Like everybody's consuming. So what do you have to do? If you're a company, you have to produce, you have to put stuff
Mhm.
out. And a lot of this stuff is not even like, hiring someone to just film you and then use like Opus clips or something like that to repurpose it, cut it all up and everything. That person, the videographer, is still going to charge you. And all of a
Mhm.
sudden it's like, wow, that you're getting $300 or $400 every time that they want to film you. And now you could like upload a still image of a picture and you never need to do that. Like that
Right.
right there is the people that don't see the value in that, or they're like, well, I just don't like AI because it's not real, or I don't like AI. Who cares? Like they don't care. It's
Right.
if you go back to marketing principles, the person that needs your service, they have to see your business average 7 to 9 times
Mhm.
before even when they're interested clicking on your stuff. So that means you've got to be putting stuff out. And if you're
Right.
doing it the old way, you're gonna be broke because you've spent all of your money on these ad agencies or spending it on ad spend rather than just putting out good information that goes organically.
Right. And there's even another component to that, which is SEO is changing because now it's
Yes.
going to AEO,
Yes.
which is so SEO, for those who may not know, is search engine optimization. AEO is answer engine optimization, I believe. Basically, the difference is you are getting your results based on companies' answers to questions. And if I have a correct understanding of that,
Uh-oh.
obviously there's some
Lost you.
keywords that can you hear me?
Yeah, lost you just for a second.
Okay, cool. So maybe you have some more insight on this, but I think that AEO is more so going off of, as it says, the answers. So I've been seeing a lot of stuff that you should be putting in like FQAs a lot into your website, because the AIs are going to look for the answer, not necessarily search for the company. They're going to see who's answering these questions on the web. And if it so
Yes.
happens to be a business, guess what? You're going to be on there. And as of right now, there's no real cost to
No.
be seen if you know how to market right.
So that, yes, I am familiar with that. And one thing like that, if you're not doing this and you have, someone sitting there doing your marketing, blogs, believe it or not, that are talking about your business, that are SEO friendly as far as like your name, your business, but it's reader friendly as well. You
Mm-hmm.
have AI create those things talking about just what you just said, the answers, like what things cost, or what is the actual cost of moving to Utah, or all, and then you break it down. ChatGPT and Google just released their AI search that they're going to be using with Chrome, and so it's going to start looking not just at uh, SEO stuff. It's going to look at, just like what you're saying, like all of the answers that are given, and a lot of it, honestly, is going to be through YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people are going to be getting their answers. So if you're not creating content on YouTube and you're not making videos that answer questions, then you're going to be left behind. And a lot of people are like, well, I don't want to spend money. You don't have to spend money. Like, you literally could have your phone and you just talk about what it is you do and be consistent about like what you're doing, and the AI will find it, because YouTube has been using like an AI algorithm since like 2012.
Right.
So like they've been doing it forever. So the algorithm is really, really good. It understands and knows exactly. That's why it's so good at like getting people to go down these rabbit holes and spend hours and hours on YouTube, because the AI is so smart at knowing what the viewer behavior is and what their patterns are, and it always suggests the videos that they're interested in. So when you have AI as the search part of it, where it's like, hey, I need some help with this, and you have that answer and it's given in a good way, then people will find you. And if you give good content, then they're going to like know, like, and trust you. And the people that know, like, and trust you will buy from you.
100%. And then for those who may be intimidated at the amount of work goes into content creation, all of that can be automated now too, because you
Yes.
have AI twins, AI avatars that can literally
Yep.
be, you have big people using it now too. I'm not sure if you're following or familiar with Alex Ramosi, but a
Yeah.
lot of his new content, if you really pay attention, it's not him. It's the AI avatar that they've created of him. It's not every
Yep.
video, but there's some. And so a lot of these big players are starting to use it. And there's even automations that you can create to where it'll scrape the internet for you for whatever industry you're in, generate scripts, put it into your AI avatar, whatever platform you're using, and then distribute the content out to all your socials so you don't have to do it. Obviously, there's a lot of back end work, connecting APIs, making sure everything's working appropriately, but that can all be automated in a few hours. And then now you have content being produced 24/7 for you, and you almost never have to worry about it again. And if it sounds like a lot of work, the really cool thing is you can start to build these automations inside of ChatGPT.
Yep.
I've done that so many times where I'll use NAN just like you, and I'll say, here's my idea for a workflow. Give me a downloadable file. That
Yep.
way I have the skeletons to work with, and then go from there. Then you can just import it and the workflow is automatically there. And there's a new extension inside of NAN. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it. It's called Chat, NAN Chat. So it's
Hmm.
just a Chrome extension. And then you don't even need to use Chat GPT anymore, because that version's much better. It's
Yep.
all specialized to NAN, and it will give you everything you need in a workflow if you're able to articulate it well, which you can work on with ChatGPT. Like,
Yep.
and so there's so many things right now that are coming out to alleviate a lot of pressure and time from business owners and even employees to be able to really get their brand out there. Because as you said earlier, it's a consumer based world we live in, and you have to be producing. You have to be producing if you're a business owner. I would even say an employee,
Yeah.
because there's so many people just giving out resumes. But what if you could show your expertise in whatever field you're trying to get a job in, and then you're able to produce content around that? It could even go the other way where you're trying to look for people to hire. Maybe now employees have an opportunity to hop into the SAEO scene. I'm not sure what your thoughts on all of that are. I know there was a lot of things in there.
I think that the biggest thing is business owners have to realize that the change has already happened, and that if they don't get on board, they literally will be obsolete. And it's kind of like this is a perfect example. I back in the day before I got into marketing, I sold yellow pages. So this shows you how old I am. Like that's how people found people is the internet was just it was just coming out, and people would have like a web page, but they didn't really know what to do with it. They were like, I got a web page, but now what? And the thing was is everybody was like, nope, I go where the people are, and everyone has a phone, and everyone has a yellow pages book or a phone book, and they go to the yellow pages and they search for whatever service they need. As soon as people figured out how to do SEO and to get their website to basically for the search engines to show their stuff, Yellow Pages became obsolete. Because the problem with Yellow Pages is if you had an ad, you had to like whatever you did, whatever offer, it had to be good for a year because they only put out phone books once a year. And so you could never change up your ad. But if you had a website, then all of a sudden you could change up your ad and offer more offerings because maybe you were in the AC business or you were, and there was seasonal things that you could do. And then that totally disrupted the yellow page industry, and it doesn't exist anymore. I mean, it's not around. And that's what I compare people to right now is the internet. When it first came out, people were super nervous to give their credit card. They were nervous to like talk with people about it or buy anything online because they thought their identity would be stolen and all this stuff. And now, have you ever noticed that like if a website doesn't take a credit card, you're annoyed and you're like, what the
Yeah.
heck? Like why aren't you taking a card? Like you told me like you could do this and you don't, oh my gosh, like and then you go somewhere else that does. And that's what I think AI is right now is people are they have it, some of them, and a lot more and more are getting AI like ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude or whatever, like they have Grok, whatever it is. And but they're not really they don't really know what to do with it. They have it and they're like, yeah, it doesn't really work that great. And it's like, well, you didn't give it good information, so that's why. And I think the business owners are those types of people that there's two types. There's the type that are like visionary and they see, oh, this is a big deal and it's changing, and we've got to put some things in place to adjust. And the other thing it's doing is, like there's all these businesses that are big and they're like, well, we're too big to fail. Like we won't fail because we have the monopoly or whatever. There are more solopreneurs and small teams that are disrupting industries with a handful of people because they're leveraging AI. And that is what's happening. And if people don't realize that and don't recognize it, then their business and real estate, in my opinion, is probably the most ripe for disruption. I think it's the one that the agents are like, well, this is how it's always been done. We're going to do it this way. It's never going to change. And I'm telling you right now, I think within less than 5 years, this industry will be completely different. And a lot of it goes because of the fact that we don't control our own data anymore. It's
Mhm.
given to Zillow, to all these places, syndicated out, and then they sell it back to us. Like it's
Right.
the dumbest thing. But it goes off of value exchange. Everything is value or perceived value. And real estate agents, this is not going to be popular, and I'm probably going to get a lot of hate for it. But real estate agents don't provide as much value as they did 3 or 4 years ago.
Mm.
That even that short of time has changed that much. Most people now, when they want to buy a house, already know the houses they want to look at. They have already looked at the houses. They probably know the houses better than the agent itself. And then the only thing that they need the agent for is to open it up. Well, now they have technology like Enter Now and other things where you don't even need the agent anymore. And so it's very ripe for disruption, and agents that don't realize that that is happening will be obsolete. And the ones real estate will always happen. It's just how is it going to happen? And the ones that recognize and get on the AI part of business and learn how to really put out content and learn how to leverage AI and realize, hey, it's more about deal flow than it is. It's not going to be one transaction and you're going to make a bunch of money. Your value, I think they're going to get paid a lot less because their value isn't as they aren't as valuable as they were in the
Mhm.
past. And so I'm sorry if you guys are going to give me a lot of hate, but I mean, I'm a real estate agent, but I just see
Yeah.
the writing on the wall. And I think people, I mean, here's a true thing that happened a couple weeks ago. I was talking with an agent and she's like, I had a young buyer and they were using ChatGPT to help them write the offer, to negotiate, to all the communication. She's like, I was with them, and I honestly, and this lady was a little older. She's like, I didn't know how to handle it. I
Mhm.
didn't know what to do. And I'm like, well, that's because they had an agent that's way smarter than you. Like it knew everything about all of the things that you're dealing with. So you have to learn how to leverage that as well. I go, the difference is, yes, textbook wise, they were telling you things that you didn't even know how to respond to. The only difference is you have experience. So
Mhm.
if you would have actually had leverage and use AI and your experience, then you would be able to like talk with that person in a way that it would resonate with them and they would be like, oh, okay, this person's on my same level. But
Yep.
because they leveraged AI, they're like, this person's dumb and they don't know what they're doing.
Right.
And I mean, honestly, it really shook the real estate agent because she was like, they said stuff in the contract that I have never even thought about. And it's the
Wow.
same contract she'd been using for 20 years. So it's like we're entering a new world, and if businesses don't get on board, the ones that do are going to outperform and over deliver because of how easy it is to generate content.
Mhm. No, I completely agree, especially right now with the silver tsunami taking place, all the baby
Yeah.
boomers retiring. You have a lot of young people who know, hey, I can actually buy a business for pennies on the dollar if I just know how to negotiate right. ChatGPT can help with that.
Yep.
You could roll them up, and then especially if you're adding in AI to bring the company into the 21st century, you
Hmm.
got tremendous value there. But going to the older women that you were talking about, that's a real estate agent, and was kind of taken aback by the offer that was sent, all generated through ChatGPT. That is where I think a lot of people are afraid of, is that these robots will replace the jobs. In reality, if you look throughout history, I mean, there used to be somebody who got paid to, transport you on horse and wagon.
Yep.
It doesn't happen anymore.
Right.
And that person, saw a car. He's probably like, I'm out of a job. Or become a driver, become a
Yep.
mechanic. There's many other things that you could tap into. And so with that, I would say that I don't know that most people should be afraid of AI taking their job any like tomorrow, but rather they should understand that if they are mediocre at what they do currently and not trying to improve, they're going to have difficulty remaining
Yep.
in a lot of companies because the skill level will be much higher. But
Yeah.
that I think that's going to be for a lot of I would say late Gen Z millennials that will be feeling that more, and some Gen Xers too. But on the contrary, I think a lot of the younger, like my children's age and Generation Alpha, the real young kids, I think that it's going to be a different wave that comes into the workforce. Just like I knew how to use social media when I first got a job,
Yeah.
like I'm in that generation. So, and then there were people that didn't. And so I think that the job market's going to get really interesting because you're going to have a lot of undertrained people, but then the new people that come in are going to be trained on it because they grew up with it.
Yeah.
And so
Like
it's just
yeah.
going to be very interesting to see.
Yeah, I've got a video of my boy actually on TikTok, and he was programming a platformer game in ChatGPT. And the thing, he's 9. Like I'm giving him the tools because I see that's where the future is headed with you. And back to your point you brought up, and I agree 100% with you, is it's AI is not going to take your job away. It's people that know how to use AI that's going to take your job away. And that's the biggest difference that people are like, well, I don't know, I'm too old, I don't know how to do it, or it's too, no, it's not. You need to just spend some time on it. And when you realize, wow, like what is it that the one thing that just really like takes a lot of time and you hate, like talk that through with ChatGPT and guaranteed you're going to get some things that you would never even thought about. And then it's like, oh, okay, what else can it do? And then but you have to use it. If you're saying, yeah, we use ChatGPT and you post once, you ask it once a question once a week, that's not using ChatGPT.
Right.
You need to be using it daily. You know what? I used to drive and listen to audiobooks all the time,
Just talk to it
and
now.
now I just talk. I talk my ideas with ChatGPT and brainstorm and talk about the problems. One of the things that I've done, and I don't know if I talked about this or not, but like people people have goals, right? Or they should. As a business owner, you should have a goal of like, why are you doing this? Like, are you just doing it because you just want to go to work, or like, do you have a goal of like you want to achieve something? And so one of the things that I've done is I've shared my goals with ChatGPT, and then I gave it in the custom instructions like, here's what I want to have happen. This is what I'm looking to do. I need when I'm putting things together or asking you to do things, I want you to make sure that it falls in line with what my goal is. And if it isn't, then I need you to help me course correct because I'm all over the place. I'm like, I got this. And
Me
I was
too.
like, I've got to make sure that it falls within my 3-year goal. And because I've done that, it's helped me stay on track on things that I actually really want to do. And one of those things is actually doing more podcasts. Like that was funny that you reached out because I was like, yeah, I just want to like talk more about this stuff because you don't have to be this expert and you don't have to like know it 100% to feel like it will help your business. You just have to use it. And once you start using it and get more comfortable with it, you'll get better at it. It's like anything, the more you focus on something, it expands. And that's the thing that most people don't realize is they just feel like, oh, it's just too hard. Or I've heard a lot of it's a fad.
Yep.
I heard the internet was a fad too when I was selling yellow pages. Yeah,
Right.
how's that for the publishing companies that do, yellow pages? They don't exist anymore.
Yep.
It's not a fad. This is not something that's going to go away. If anything, it's at breakneck speeds that it may have taken 25 years for the internet to get where it is through web stuff. It's going to be a fraction of that time for AI.
Yeah, right. No, I agree. I mean, there's a whole nother rabbit hole we can go down, which is with crypto as well. I think that,
Right.
you have money is changing because of the new technologies that are being created right now, which is a whole nother
Exactly.
thing. I've been in the crypto space since like 2016. So I'm used to being on the fringes if, like before
Yep.
people are really tapped into what's going on. And everything you're saying is true. Like a lot of people say it's not going to stay, it's a fad. You don't really hear that so much anymore just
Yeah.
because of how prevalent it's become, but it's certainly there's certainly
Now,
a lot of people who are underestimating its
yeah.
capabilities to revolutionize the world in commerce. It's
Yeah.
which will then trickle down into the culture. It's incredible the effects it'll have, and it's you can't really even think about. the long term. If you're being honest, like I'm not smart enough to deduce exactly where things are going to go because of this.
Yeah. Well, I would think that like if you were to look back even 3 years ago and go, would we even be having a conversation like this?
Right.
Like that to me, I stopped putting limitations after ChatGPT came out. I was like, this is going to, I remember like I got like in a pretty good argument with my wife because I was having it tutor my kids in school. And she was like, you're just giving it answers. And I'm like, no, I'm teaching it how to ask AI to
Mm-hmm.
teach them how to get the answer
Right.
and not to just get the answer, but how to actually interact with it. And it was so funny because she was like, this is not like they need to know. And we were very, very different on our opinions
Mm.
until she needed help with something. And I'm like, why don't you ask ChatGPT to teach you how to do it? And then she did. And she's like, I didn't realize what you were saying about this, but it makes total sense. It's not about what the answer is, it's understanding how to get the answer.
Yep.
And I think that that's the big difference that people think, well, like schools and all of that, they're behind when it comes to like, oh, we have AI detectors and all this. A lot of AI detectors are wrong. Like
Right.
they don't even get the right information because it's again, it's garbage in, garbage out. If they don't have
Mhm.
the right context, they'll have people that are saying, well, it's likely AI. Well, your AI, tester is actually off. And that's the other thing that I probably would focus on a lot is starting out when you're looking to use AI and ChatGPT is don't believe everything it says. Is
Mhm.
you have to challenge it. You have to tell it, hey, give me sources, show me where you found this to be like a case study. Don't just tell me this is the greatest idea. Like prove to me with people that have actually done this before, or give me examples and provide the links and all of that
Yep.
so that you're actually testing it. And that's where like your deep seek, that kind of stuff actually comes in really handy
Hmm.
is when you're going through those ideas and have it run through that, because then it's really going through and really diving into like everything and putting it in a way that will let you know if that's a really good idea or not. And like you said, it only takes, 10, 15, 20 minutes depending on what you ask it. But based on that information and then having that as the context, then you can have the conversation with AI saying, now I'm looking at doing this with this based on your research. Would this be something worth pursuing? And
Right.
that's when people understand that, that's when you really have a lot of power.
I completely agree. It should be treated as like a collaborator, not just a tool, because that's what
Yep.
it is. You know,
Yep.
it's really helping you generate ideas, solve problems, etc. But Joe, man, what kind of closing tips would you give to people that are either novice in the space, maybe they're right in the middle? Like, what kind of advice would you give them on their journey into this AI realm?
My advice would be don't be afraid of it. Don't be afraid of it and pick something. I think that there's a lot of people that will get a bunch of different memberships and then not use anything, or they'll get the free things and then only use it once and then never go back. So my advice would be find one that you like and that works for you and really learn what it can do to help you with your
Mhm.
business, with whatever it is. I'm focused really heavy on business, so I would say like use it as the smartest assistant that you've ever had. And really spend time learning by asking it questions and asking it what it can do and what it can't do, what its limitations are, and spend the time using that and then just getting in the habit um, of talking and using it as a collaborator, like bouncing ideas off of it, saying, look, I've got these things. What would be a good, way to handle this? And just
Mhm.
really, really incorporate that into your daily usage. And if you'll do that and just focus on like the pain points that you have, that right there is all I started doing is I found a pain point, I saw the opportunity, and I was like, I need to learn as much as I can about this stuff. And it
Mhm.
literally has transformed my business because I took the initiative to learn how to leverage AI. So yeah, just start using it.
Completely agree, man. And if people wanted to either maybe work with you, they're a real estate agent, or they want some AI help because you have an agency as well there, where do they need to go to contact you?
Yeah, so I have a couple different things depending on what you want. I have synthvoice.ai, and that's my AI business that answers phone calls, does automations, things like that. And then the other one is I do focus heavily on teaching people how to use ChatGPT, and that I can share some links with you. But basically, it's computer co-pilot, and then I have some landing pages that just talk about how to actually start using ChatGPT. I have some courses that it's very beginner, like for people that, and it's very specific for like lenders and realtors
Mm-hmm.
to how to use that to like save 5 to 10 hours a week working on their business. So I
Nice.
have those. But honestly, you could incorporate that with like any business. But because I'm in real estate, that's the one I'm like, I'm going to focus on that.
100%. No, that's awesome, man. So, yeah, I'll be sure to put everything down in the description below. That way, if people want to go to it, they can easily find you as well as your socials. But
Cool.
no, man, I really love the conversation today. It was very informative. I think it's going to be great for real estate agents, real estate brokers, anybody in the space, because that's where your focus is at. So you're a living case study of what
Right.
one can do just by using simply Chat GPT as well.
Right.
Nothing else. So
Yep.
I appreciate it,
100%.
man.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for having me on and thanks for the invite, and we'll have to do it again.
Of course.